The Champions League has been so exciting so far, and we've had some really insane games on match day 2. So now it's time for my match day 3 predictions. Oh, and trust me, there's gonna be upsets because I am bold like that. Anyways, let's start off with the Bayern Munich versus Victoria Pilsen game. I know I said I was gonna have a lot of upsets, but this is not one of them. To be fair to Pilsen though, Bayern Munich have been terrible in the Bundesliga, being 5th place and also being winless in the last 4 games. They also lost to Augsburg 1-0 last game in the Bundesliga, and that's just terrible for Bayern standards. So, is an upset possible for Victoria Pilsen? Yeah, sure. Is it likely to happen? Probably not. I also think after the international break, the Bayern Munich players will feel more rejuvenated and motivated to get their season back on track. So I'm gonna go for a statement win for Bayern Munich in this game, and I think they're gonna win it 7-0. Crazy scoreline, I know, but I did say I'm bold. Now next game we got Marseille versus Sporting. Marseille have not been doing good in the Champions League so far, and they've lost both of the games in the campaign. Additionally, Sporting spanked Frankfurt 3-0 in the first match day, and now Frankfurt beat Marseille 1-0. So therefore, according to my statistics, it does feel like Sporting is gonna beat Marseille pretty easily. However, it's important to take the league form into account. Marseille have been doing very good in Ligue 1, being 2nd place and only 2 points behind PSG. They're also still undefeated in the league. On the other hand, Sporting have been very poor in Liga NOS, and they're currently 8th place with 3 wins and 3 losses. They even lost to a Portuguese team called Chaves 2-0 in the league. Respectfully, I've never heard of Chaves in my life, bro. I don't know how Sporting lost to them. Anyways, I know Sporting are not doing good in the Portuguese league, but they have been doing crazy good in the Champions League so far, getting 2 wins out of the first 2 games. They even beat the likes of a great Tottenham side 2-0, and that solo goal from Arthur at the end was spectacular, bro. What a goal that was. So yeah, based on Sporting's excellent Champions League form, I think they're gonna win 2-1 with Paulinho getting the brace. Now up next, we got Porto versus Leverkusen. Porto have been horrendous in the Champions League so far. They lost 2-1 to Atletico Madrid in the first game, and their best player, in my opinion, Mehdi Taremi, got sent off, so he missed the next game against Bruges. And in that game, Porto actually got smacked up 4-0 at home. It was so bad that the Porto fans attacked the head coach's car with his family inside it. Obviously, this is unacceptable. You should never resort to violence against someone's family. So Porto fans, show at least a little bit more respect. But anyways, my point still stands. Porto have been rubbish, while Leverkusen have actually been decent so far. Now Leverkusen actually started off with a defeat to Bruges, which was kind of undeserved, but it is what it is. They did bounce back against Atletico Madrid though, beating them 2-0. That's a huge win for Leverkusen to get their Champions League campaign back on track. However, for my prediction, I'm betting on the fact that Porto is not going to be in horrendous form after the international break. And with Taremi back in the picture and the fact that Porto always qualified to the round of 16, I think they'll finally get a result in this Champions League campaign. Therefore, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw between Leverkusen and Porto. It's kind of an upset, but this is what I think, bro. Next on the list, we got Club Bruges versus Atletico Madrid. I've already touched on this, but Club Bruges have been excellent in the Champions League season so far. They've pulled off unexpected wins against the likes of Leverkusen and Porto. That's really hard to do, so props to Bruges for that. They've also been decent in the Belgian league, still being top 3 in the standings despite getting spanked by Standard de Ligue 3-0. And speaking about league form, Atletico Madrid have been horrendous. They're currently 7th place and have dropped points in 3 games out of the 6 they've played. Just terrible to the standards we have for Atletico Madrid. Not only that, they just lost to Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 as well, which is something I did not expect, and I actually got the prediction wrong. This time though, I'm not going to get my prediction wrong, and I have an upset, baby. I'm going for a Club Bruges win, and they're going to win this game 2-1. Now we got Ajax versus Napoli, which is going to be a really good game. Ajax were doing so well in the Champions League and in the Eredivisie. They beat Rangers 4-0 and absolutely destroyed them, and they were undefeated in their League 2, getting 6 wins in a row. However, their good run seems to finally come to an end. This is because they lost to Liverpool in the Champions League in the last minute thanks to Joel Matip's header. Thank goodness, because my team Liverpool really needed that win. Then next in the Eredivisie, they actually lost to AZ Alkmaar 2-1, even though they had the lead in that match. Also, it's pretty important to note for you guys that Ajax's best player so far has been Mohamed Kudus, the midfielder. He scored an absolute banger against Rangers, which came out of nowhere, and then with Ajax's only shot on target he scored against Liverpool, and that shot was top bins. And then in the game against Alkmaar, even though they lost, he scored the goal for Ajax. Kudus was actually one of the most hyped up youngsters a couple of years ago, so it's so nice to see him finally showing why. Anyways, their opponent is Napoli, and Napoli have been unreal so far this season. They're on top of Serie A, being undefeated, and even beat AC Milan last weekend 2-1, which is a really good result, obviously. Not only that, Napoli have been spotless in the Champions League campaign so far. They spanked my club Liverpool 4-1 in the first game, and then spanked Rangers as well 3-0 at the Ibrox Stadium. Napoli are just different gravy this season. So now with this being said, I just don't think there's a way that Napoli is going to drop points to Ajax. Napoli are just too good right now, even though I love having upsets in my videos. Therefore, I think this game is going to be really close, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Napoli, and Zielinski is going to score the alone goal this game. We're going to change up the group real quick and move on to Eintracht Frankfurt versus Tottenham. Now, both of these clubs can relate to each other pretty well. This is because they both got bounced by Sporting. So with that being said, let's see how both of these teams are doing in their respective leagues. Tottenham is actually doing good in the Prem, having 17 points and only being 1 point off first place Arsenal with 18. Their latest result against Leicester was nothing short of incredible as well, beating this side 6-2. What's more important about this game against Leicester is Heung-min Son is finally back this season. After having 8 games with no goals, he came off the bench against Leicester and scored a 13-minute hat-trick. With Son back in form and Harry Kane already being in form scoring a goal like every single game, it seems like these two could be another dangerous duo again. And now they even have the help of Richarlison, who actually helped Tottenham get the win against Marseille 2-0, and honestly their attack just looks stacked this season. Frankfurt on the other hand were last year's Europa League champions, as we all know by now, so they definitely know how to win important games, and this game is definitely important. However, their league form is not the best right now because they're 7th place in the Bundesliga, and they lost their best player in the summer, Filip Kostic, to Juventus. They haven't been doing that well in the Champions League either, and they got spanked harder by Sporting than Tottenham did. So according to my calculations, I think Tottenham is actually going to win this game, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 dub for them. And obviously my 2 goal scorers are going to be Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. Now let's move on to Inter Milan versus FC Barcelona. I always did feel like Inter Milan were going to lose to Bayern Munich, but I genuinely thought that Barca could pull off the upset against Bayern this time, since obviously Barca took their best player in the recent decade, Lewandowski. That wasn't the case though, because although Lewandowski had a lot of opportunities, they didn't capitalize on them, while Bayern Munich actually capitalized on their chances and won the game. Going back to Inter Milan and Barca though, one of them has been really impressive in their respective league while the other hasn't been. Barca have been doing great in La Liga and are 2nd place and are still undefeated in the league. It just seems like they figured out the formula now. However, Inter on the other hand are in the mud, and in the past 5 games they've lost 3 of them and are 7th place. This obviously is terrible for Inter standards because they literally won the Serie A title 2 years ago. So due to Inter's poor form in Serie A right now, I can't have another upset, and I think Barcelona is going to win this game 3-1 with Lewandowski bagging a brace. Now we're going to move on to my club Liverpool, who are taking on Rangers. Now I don't want to hype my own club because we've been absolutely terrible in the Premier League, being 8th place and also got smacked 4-1 by Napoli. But after last week's performance against Ajax, winning the game 2-1 thanks to a last minute header by Joel Matip, I think I can say this time, I think we're back. And I know I said the exact same thing when Liverpool beat Bournemouth 9-0, but this time I actually mean it. It actually seems like they're back. This is because all the Liverpool players are finally coming back from injury. Joel Matip is back, obviously because he scored the goal. Thiago, our midfielder, is back. Diego Jota's back. Hendo's back, and Konate is coming back very soon. Things are finally looking up for Liverpool Football Club. But for Rangers, nah man. They got smacked by their biggest rival Celtic in the league 4-0. Then they proceeded to get slapped up by Ajax 4-0 as well, and then they got slapped up by Napoli 3-0 in the Champions League. They've been massively underperforming in recent weeks. So I have to say this. I have to back my team. I think Liverpool is going to beat Rangers 2-0 on Matchday 3, and this will get Liverpool back on track in the Champions League. Liverpool's goal scorers as well are going to be Diego Jota and Mohamed Salah. Also, we're playing at Anfield this time, and you know we always go crazy at home. Next up, we got RB Salzburg versus Dynamo Zagreb. Now, Salzburg have been okay in the Champions League, getting 2 draws, but they were against AC Milan and Chelsea, so these draws have to mean something. Especially playing 1-0 down to Chelsea and fighting all the way until the end to get a late goal to tie the game. That shows a lot of hard work and perseverance for me. For Dynamo Zagreb, they ended up losing to AC Milan 3-1, but remember, they did beat Chelsea 1-0 on Matchday 1, so that also has to mean something. Zagreb are definitely capable of pulling off the upset. Now, Salzburg and Zagreb are both 1st place in their respective leagues, so let's throw out league form for now. In the Champions League group itself, Zagreb is ahead of Salzburg by 1 point, so this might be an upset, but I actually got Salzburg winning this game. I think they're showing a perseverance in their last game really resonated with me, so I think they're going to go 1-0 down to Zagreb, but they're going to fight their way back and win the game 2-1. We have another Red Bull team next. It's going to be RB Leipzig versus Celtic. Now, Leipzig have been straight up awful this season. They're last place in their Champions League group after losing to Shaktar 4-1 on the first match day, and then understandably lost to Real Madrid 2-0. Not only that, they've been getting slapped up in the Bundesliga as well. They lost to Frankfurt 4-0 and even lost to Gladbach super recently 3-0. Now, Leipzig did end up beating Borussia Dortmund 3-0 as well, but that's just an anomaly, bro. We're not going to take that into account. Their overall standing in the Bundesliga is actually 12th place with only 8 points, and this is horrible by Leipzig standards. Now, I know Marco Rose just just became Leipzig's recent head coach, so things can obviously change. But even with him in charge, they still got slapped up 3-0 by Gladbach, so it's going to take some time for some changes to show. Now, unlike Leipzig, Celtic are actually doing good in their league. They're first place despite losing their most recent game. Their Champions League campaign has not been that good though, because they drew to Shaktar and lost to Madrid. But to be fair, none of us really expected Celtic to excel in the Champions League group stage, so it's kind of unfair to say they're doing bad. And that's why I kind of have an upset for this game. I think Celtic will beat RB Leipzig 3-2, and yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring game. I do think that Kyogo Furuhashi is going to get the third and last goal to win the game for Celtic as well. Trust, this is a bold prediction, but I think I'm going to get this one right. We got a big one next. It's Chelsea versus AC Milan. Now, we all know that Chelsea have not been good this season. They lost to Dynamo Zagreb in the first game and then ended up tying to Salzburg, capitulating at the end when they conceded to them. In the league, they're 7th place, which is better than my club Liverpool, but it's not like it's good. They're still playing like garbage. Thing is, Tuchel did end up getting sacked now, and now they have a new head coach in Graham Potter. So there might be a clear change in the way Chelsea play, and it might rejuvenate their season. Only time will tell though, because we've only seen one game where Graham Potter took charge. AC Milan, on the other hand, have been doing decent in Serie A, being 5th place, and I know they just lost to Napoli 2-1, but bruh, that's Napoli. They're different gravy this season. Literally the best team in Italy right now. AC Milan though are still doing way better than Chelsea in the Champions League and in the Serie A regardless of that loss to Napoli. Hence why I think AC Milan is going to win this game 2-1. It might be an upset to some people, but not to me. But yeah, it's just what I think. Next on the list is Juventus versus Maccabi Haifa. Juventus are doing absolutely terrible right now. They're 8th place in the Serie A and literally just lost to relegation candidates Monza 1-0. And the old Juventus would have never let that happen. Additionally, they've been trash in the Champions League so far as well, having 0 points out of the first 2 games. Now I know they lost to the likes of PSG and Benfica, who are both better teams than Juventus respectfully, but Juventus is a household name and they're good on paper, so in my opinion they should have at least like 1 point by now. Just 1 point, that's all I ask for from Juventus. Now moving on to Maccabi Haifa. They're not even first place in their own Israeli league. They're losing by 1 point to Tel Aviv. Ain't no way, bro. Maccabi Haifa isn't even first place in the league where nobody can name 3 teams. Unbelievable. Anyways, in my conclusion, both Maccabi Haifa and Juventus aren't doing so well right now. And the fact that Maccabi Haifa even had a lead against PSG shows me that there's some hope. Now this might be a huge upset to some because some people believe that Juventus will walk all over this team. But since Juventus are doing so bad right now, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm sorry, Juve fans. Next on the list, we got Real Madrid versus Shaktar. Now for me, Shaktar have been a surprise package in the Champions League season so far. They spanked RB Leipzig 4-1. And they also got a draw against Celtic, which isn't good, but it's not exactly bad either. They also got that super good youngster, Mikhailo Mudryk, who looks to be like an absolute stud. The kid seems like a real deal. Liverpool should sign him. But yeah, anyways, Shakhtar is doing good, but Real Madrid is just doing way better. Out of the 18 possible points in La Liga, they have all 18. They've won every single game, including the match against Atletico Madrid, which I'm kind of happy about because I wanted to see Vinicius Rodrigo dance in their stadium, and they did exactly that. Really put a smile to my face, bruh. Moving back to topic though, Real Madrid have also won every single game in the Champions League campaign so far, and I don't think the likes of Shakhtar is going to stop Real Madrid's unstoppable winning ways right now. Therefore, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Real Madrid, and Vinicius is going to bag himself a brace and dance. Trust. Moving on, we got Sevilla versus Borussia Dortmund. Now, Sevilla this season have been worse than garbage. They've been horrendous, gooey, stinky, filthy garbage. Believe it or not, Sevilla are actually 15th place in La Liga. 15th! Their only win came against Espanyol, which was a close 3-2 win. Every game besides that, they've dropped points. And in the Champions League so far as well, they're also winless. They somehow failed to beat FC Copenhagen. For the first time in forever, it seems like Sevilla is actually incapable of qualifying to the Europa League. I don't understand how. On the other hand, Dortmund have actually been doing decent. They're 2nd place in the Bundesliga, which is something they're kind of used to, but they're also 2nd place in the Champions League group as well, which is great for them. They were also really close to beating Manchester City, being 1-0 up in the game after Jude Bellingham's goal. But of course, they couldn't stop the monster they created, Erling Haaland, who won the game for City 2-1. And that goal was just incredible, bro. I can't even explain it. Bro literally hit the Jackie Chan pose when he scored that goal. Anyways, besides the losing part, Dortmund actually looked really good in that game, and therefore I think they're going to beat Sevilla pretty comfortably. Hence why I'm going for a 3-0 win for the black and yellow, and I think Jude Bellingham and Gio Reyna will both get on the score sheet this game. I'm backing my American brother. Now we got a big one next. It's PSG versus Benfica. Both teams are going crazy right now. They're both on 6 points in the Champions League too, so they're neck and neck for that first place position. Benfica have impressed me more so far, because I expected this from PSG, but not from Benfica. They had an incredible comeback win against Juventus, and they deserved the 3 points against them. And if you were wondering, yeah, I don't agree with that penalty call, but I still believe that Benfica deserved all 3 points. And not only that, out of the 7 games in Liga NOS, they have 7 wins. They've won every single game in the league so far, basically. Now moving on to PSG, they're doing great in Ligue 1, but we all kind of expected that. In fact, they have 22 points out of 24 games. They only slipped up once. Not only that, that front three of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe have been doing so well together. Especially Neymar, who's making that early push for that Ballon d'Or. All he needs to do is win that World Cup, and honestly, I think it's pretty sealed for next season who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. Anyways, forget about Neymar right now. Who's going to win the game between PSG and Benfica? Well, I think it's neither. This might be a slight upset, but I think this game is going to end in a 2-2 draw. It's going to happen. Watch. Last but not least, we got Manchester City taking on FC Copenhagen. Now, this one's an upset. I got Copenhagen winning this game against City 3-0. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. We all know that Manchester City is going to win this game. So let me save myself some time and your time most importantly. Excuse me. I can't believe I just did that on camera. Anyways, going back to topics, City look to finally have solved their striker problem with the likes of Erling Haaland, and that KDB-Haaland duo is dangerous, bruh. And for Haaland's stats in the Premier League, Haaland has 11 goals and 1 assist in 7 games. And in 2 games of the Champions League, he already has 3 goals. This guy's a machine, and I don't think Copenhagen is going to be able to stop this robot. Therefore, I'm going to go for a 4-0 win for City, and I think Haaland is backing himself a hat-trick. You heard it here first. Anyways, let me know down in the comments below whether you agree with my Matchday 3 Champions League predictions. And also let me know your own predictions. I would love to know what you guys think. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and also remember to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop a banger video. Also leave a like. Let's try reaching 300 likes this video. And also follow my Twitter at Nabhuto. I'd seriously appreciate it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!